That's it. You're all right. Almost there. Yep. Aye, somewhere about there. That'll do. So I got my pedals the wrong way around. Let's scoot around. Scooch it. Cheers. Into interview spec hat duties. Got that. Danny here. Basically, I'll talk you through the spec. Santa Cruz very kindly built me a custom full carbon 24-inch trials frame. It's been built in their new lab that they've got for testing all the new sort of carbon parts. So it's very cool and very rare. Very honoured with that. They've also made me a full carbon fork to go with the bike. That's got a tapered steer from 1.5 inches to 1.1 inches. There's actually no seat post on this bike. We basically just bonded in a pivotal sort of top, basically, and my saddle just sort of plonks on top of there. Kind of running quite a BMX style seat angle at the moment, but I'm not too sure if I might change that a notch. This frame is running bolt-through axles front and rear. I've got a 12mm bolt-through axle on the rear. It's off a V10. It's for all my sort of trials needs. So they've basically made the dropout stick enough. I don't know what the spacing is on a V10. It's probably, don't know what spacing is these days. There's so many different measurements. It could be. It's one in amongst all those, and that's the same axle that goes in the back of the V10. The geometry on this bike is something I'm actually not too sure about. I'm sure if you looked at chart, you'd probably find it all out. As short a back end as you can run. I've been kind of refining the geometry. I've been running for about 12 years and slowly getting steeper head angle, slowly getting shorter chain stays. Rather, you know, everything in mountain biking is getting longer and slacker and lower or whatever. Our bikes tend to kind of get steeper, well, shorter back ends anyway. And the bottom bracket, you know, I kind of run quite an old school style of trials bike, so I actually have my bottom bracket relatively low for a trials bike. I think it's like a +10. Another really cool feature of this bike is some custom fabricated 24-inch Santa Cruz Reserve carbon wheels. Super sort of tricked out. It's pretty cool because I can finally run tubeless on this bike. I've tried running tubeless on different aluminium rims with not much success because I just keep blowing the tires off because there's so much forces going on them on the trials bike. But with the Reserve rims, I'm actually able to run tubeless with about 50 psi. That's 50 psi is soft for me. It's like between 50 and 60 psi I would normally run in the tires. I think there might be a Huck Norris or something in this one that Santa Cruz had in the factory, or I can't even remember. But I go through phases with stuff like that. It just depends on what I'm doing. Yeah, I quite like that. I mean, sometimes I'll run foam front and back. It's kind of a new thing for me. Ran tubes for years. I know the Contis are pretty good pinch resistance. I mean, on trials, you're trying to aim for the edge of rails and rocks and whatnot. So pinch flats, you know, are something that you get a lot of. And, you know, sometimes I'd maybe get 30 punches in a day or something if I'm trying to film something that's particularly harsh on the bike. So with the tubeless setup, I can hit things even harder and go bigger, which is a really cool thing. So it's actually percentage-wise added a big amount to my actual riding, which is quite cool. Brakes are, I would say, one of the most important parts in the entire bike, consistency-wise. So I'm running the Magura MT7 Raceline brakes, actually my signature brake, which is really cool as a trials rider to have the fluoro yellow, iconic fluoro yellow as my kind of signature colour. It's cool to see that really coming back as well. It's a bit of a renaissance. I'm running 203 rotors front and rear on this thing, so you want your brakes as powerful as they can be. I run 203s on all my bikes, I think. I don't see the point in running smaller rotors. By far the most powerful brakes that I've actually used in my trials career. I actually run my levers fairly far away from the bars. You also notice I've got really aggressively steep lever angle. That's because we spend a lot of time, and I think I'm probably one of the most aggressive with that. Partly because my fingers don't straighten out anymore because I've spent so much time on my bike. Basically, when you're doing some of the big moves, you actually put lots of force in the brake levers. If I run them further down, it just means there's less pressure from my hands. On the handlebars as well, I'm running the lizard skin, well, Macaskill grips, my signature ones. I wanted to kind of have quite a thin lock on, so you've got a really good wrap on the bars. It means when you're doing some of the big tricks, you can really hold on tight, almost so much that your fingers are almost hitting your palm. You know, I run them really thin. Also running the inspired high-rise handlebars, kind of standard bars I've been running for years. The rise in them, I reckon, is about 2.5 inches, 3 inches. Don't know, somewhere around there. Don't know, they've been that way for a long time. I'm running a Trialtech 90 by 35 stem with 10 mil of spacers in there. I'm running carbon cranks on this bike. Cranks are one of the parts of the bike, on a trials bike especially, that take a lot of abuse. So it'll be interesting to see how those wee beasties get on, you know, with rock bashes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to give them a good go. I've also got the inspired bash guard, which is sort of been specifically designed for these cranks. I'm running the large Stamp 3 pedals. They're actually, again, my signature pedals. I like to have my name in everything. It just means I know whose bike it is, you know. Yeah, on the trials bikes, you just tend to run single speed. All in all, it's pretty fancy, and I'm very, very lucky to have it. So you can check out more bike checks here, and subscribe to Pinkbike down here. So, yeah. Good. Bye. I can do that again. I'll do that better one. So, is that what you're supposed to do?